And it's like, yeah, like he just said, they can literally set the price to anything. And it's like, oh, you're like, oh, you know what? Instead of fucking buying Lucky Charms, I'm gonna buy, I don't know, Frosty Flakes. It's owned by the same mother. Welcome back to the Mix28 YouTube channel. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share with friends and engage in the comment section below. You can submit your own video ideas and whatnot. But it's really more for engagement because I exist on the same monopoly that every other big content creator with a brain exists on, and that's King YouTube. YouTube is a massive, whopping, heaping monopoly on the internet video space, with the only market it really doesn't touch being porn. I was looking at some videos the other day, and I found one by How Many Works. I watched it, went over Monopolies, and I kind of want to go over that with you guys and just... So let's go straight to the video.
Last week, between record market crashes and rebounds, endless election nonsense, and the wrapping up of the Olympic Games, one of the most important legal verdicts ever was being made. District Judge Amit Mehta ruled that Google was a monopolist and acted as one to maintain its own monopoly. This surprised absolutely nobody. But it also surprised everybody, because every trillion-dollar company in the world today is a monopoly of some kind, illegal or otherwise.
Illegal. Fucking legal. Sherman antitrust laws, FTC, state attorney generals, Department of Justice, get on it. It's all illegal. My solution? Well, I'm a socialist, so nationalize that bit. You know what I mean? You know, nationalize the fuck out of it, okay? Some of them probably don't need to nationalize. Amazon, nationalize. UPS, FedEx, I mean, they're technically nationalized in a way because they're paying for the contract of being able to be a mail carrying service, but nationalize it regardless, okay? Simple. Windows, you can leave that. Google, you could probably leave that. However, there's some practices they carry out that you need to prevent them from doing and fine them for doing. So that way we can get better search engines, or same thing with like in phones, okay? Phones, yeah, it might not seem like they're not a monopoly because you're like, oh, but there's options. There's AT&T, there's Verizon, there's T-Mobile. And then they'll say, oh, what about the other smaller ones like Cricket and Boost Mobile and this and that? And it's like, motherfucker, those small motherfuckers are owned by the big motherfuckers, the top fucking three. They use their cell towers. They control the game. It's all a fucking... It's an interwoven network, okay? That's just what it is. It's against the law.
The market assumption was that regulators would keep looking the other way and let this happen forever. But that is changing, which is...
I wonder why they kept looking the other way. Could it possibly be because there's this, like, loop of where you enter politics? You become, I don't know, maybe a state representative. Let's just start small. You represent your state. You do well in the sense of... You get there with some ideas, you realize everything comes with this, you know, Faustian fucking bargain, and you eventually get some laws passed, right? But you had to soften those laws, or you had to add a poison to those laws. And your own party was like, well, you're good at doing this, and you got good numbers from the people because they're not looking deep into the laws you passed. So you could probably do a national race for us here. You could, I mean, yes, it's technically a statewide race, but like it's, you know, run for Senate or House of Representatives. You get elected. You do the same thing there, but on a national scale, right? And then some scandal comes out. I don't know. We're thinking about modern day politicians. So I don't know. You're a weirdo who likes to have young people touch your pee-pee. I don't know. Some weird shit that a weird politician would do. Or it comes out that like you're basically lying about your entire past, and for some reason your own party hasn't fucking cross-referenced that, and you end up with someone like George Santos, all right? You're out. You get pushed out by your own party. They're not going to support you. You can't run as independent because that shit just doesn't work. And guess what? More than likely, some company is going to say themselves, they only got pushed out because they had this one thing, but most of the people in Washington don't give a shit about that one thing. Most of the people in Washington, their morals are very, 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 very fucking low. So that way they could play the connection game and ensure their own survival and further collection of money and greed. So they're going to offer you a contract. And when you get offered that contract, it's going to be way more money than you made as a politician, right? And your whole job is to use your connections to just ensure that whatever company hires you doesn't see regulation. That's it. That's literally your job. It's fucking easy money. It's bullshit. And it is a cycle that ensures that every single fucking department in this damn country never really truly does its fucking job. Even the military has these fucking assholes. That's why soldiers will tell you there's a lot of shit that breaks the fuck down, and the realization is that deal was only made to buy, I don't know, this amount of pistols from this supplier because one of the lobbyists and contract makers and shakers and talkers for that fucking weapons maker literally is like a fucking 2-star general. Who knows the shit is ass, but fuck it, he's getting paid, right?
Is bad news for corporate America, because I don't know if you have noticed, but there aren't that many companies anymore. For an alarming amount of major companies, becoming a monopoly isn't just a good way to maximize profit. It's the only way they can make a profit.
Hey, Tyler, Google has lost its Department of Justice antitrust suit, the judge finding that it violated antitrust law. The distribution agreements were found to be anti-competitive and in violation of Section 2 of the Sherman Act.
$1 billion they pay to Apple, but they pay similar amounts to Samsung, Motorola, LG.
I worked with a couple interns last year, and every intern that I've seen come on has just exuded
Google
googly.
is a monopolist, and it has acted as one to maintain its monopoly.
Not all monopolies are necessarily illegal, and hot take alert, some of them can even be good for consumers.
Nationalize them, it'll be even better, I promise you.
A company is allowed to have market dominance if their product is better than all their competitors, or if no competitor.
I know he did not just do that fucking, the fucking Apple VR. The product is not better, whatever. That fucking Apple VR shit is garbage.
Even bother trying to compete because one company has such a commanding lead. Google, for a long time, had the best search engine on the internet. That's a bit more questionable these days. But people choose to Google things because that would normally give them the best search results. That's not illegal, unless that company uses its market dominance to entrench its position and make it harder for others to compete. Today, there are lots of search engines that are just as good, if not better, than Google.
Hashtag not a sponsor, but hashtag brave.
What Google actually got in trouble for was paying companies like Apple billions of dollars every year to make their search engine the default on their mobile phones, which made it much harder for these alternative search engines to compete. Because, let's be honest with ourselves, who is changing the search engine default options on our phones? Obviously, I am not a lawyer, and while I did consult one while writing this brief outline, if you ever find yourself running a Fortune 500 company, you probably shouldn't use a YouTube video as a guide on how to enact anti-competitive measures. Now, the reason this otherwise standard antitrust lawsuit is such a big deal is because monopolies have become an epidemic in the modern corporate world for 3 simple reasons. The first reason is that there is simply more opportunity than ever to create a monopoly.
I wonder fucking why. Could it be the thing that I just described about the fucking loop that constantly goes in a cycle and ensures that the rich and powerful always have friends that can connect them to someone in the government and then deregulate them so that way they can do whatever the fuck they want? I want that stated again. You have to fucking, you have the only options. Everything looks the same because bullshit. Because of the who you know attitude of the world. And that is bullshit. Meritocracy is a fucking modern day lie.
Goods and services that we consume are far more varied today than they have ever been at any point even in modern history. 4 decades ago, there weren't any search engines to monopolize, and the world's biggest companies made far more basic products. Take US Steel and Nvidia. Both of these companies were the most valuable in the world at their respective peaks. Both of them made products primarily to service other businesses. and both of them were at the forefront of an industrial trend. US Steel was making, well, steel right as America was on a building spree, and Nvidia is making H100 GPUs right as the world is pumping AI into everything.
Please stop pumping AI and everything. Please, 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 please. I mean, I know you're not going to, but please. Not even because of the Skynet effect, but just because I'm fucking tired of goddamn AI overview bullshit. I am so tired.
The difference is that steel beams are an extremely basic product compared to cutting-edge proprietary microprocessors. According to company filings, Nvidia sold 150,000 of these chips to Microsoft alone, and another 150,000 to Meta so that the companies could accelerate the rate in which the internet is turned into procedurally generated slop. Every single one of these GPUs sells for around $25,000 according to Barron's, but it only costs the company a few $100s to manufacture.
Bro, I'm in the wrong motherfucking business. What the fuck? Dude, that markup value? Holy fuck. And then they got a nerve to turn around and charge motherfuckers, $2,000 for a fucking graphics card? How much does it cost to make the graphics? Yo, if it costs like $350 to make the fucking graphics card and they turn around and charge people $2,000, someone at Nvidia deserves to be in jail. Okay? That is fucking wild. This is wild. And the wildest thing is, I'm advocating for this shit to go down just so companies can buy more of this shit. Like, I can't even process that thought simply because what the fuck? But they are making $22,000 a pop, and companies probably got to buy these shits by like the shitload, right? So they're buying probably like fucking, they're like, oh, we need 5,000 of these. But that's fucking insane. It's a fucking money printer.
Nvidia can get away with charging these margins because it is a monopoly, and these companies have literally nowhere else to go. Nvidia owns the market for AI compute because it has developed CUDA, which is the industry standard for building machine learning models. Remember, dominating a market because you can undercut your competitors or force suppliers not to work with them is illegal, but monopolizing a market because your product is better is completely fair game. It's hard to make steel beams so good that any other steel beam is literally unusable by comparison. So after antitrust laws were introduced, it was much harder to maintain a monopoly with a basic product, but even more profitable to maintain one with advanced products. I only used it as an example because talking about Nvidia in a video makes the YouTube algorithm recommend this video about Nvidia to people who want confirmation that their Nvidia shares are going to make them rich. Apple creates a monopoly with its product ecosystem. Microsoft has an effective monopoly on operating systems outside of Apple products. Google has a monopoly on search engine and online video. Aramco has a monopoly on Saudi oil, and Meta has a monopoly on boomer memes. These are the companies that have made it to the promised land of market dominance. But there are also trillions of dollars being invested into companies that do nothing but take market share. Food delivery, ride-sharing, and even AI applications tend to lose a lot of money, and are only kept alive by constant investor funding rounds. The only way that these businesses make sense is if they outlast their competitors by achieving market share through a product that is often made more appealing than it really ought to be by selling it below cost. Companies like Lucid Motors, Uber, and OpenAI lose money on every new customer and user they gain, but their investors don't care as long as they are gaining market share. If those companies do become a monopoly, then they can fatten up their margins and join the trillion-dollar club with the other tech monopolies.
And the thing that pisses me off the most about that is, like, because I'm not saying that something like Uber Eats or DoorDash or Postmates or whatever shouldn't, or Instacart or whatever, shouldn't exist, or Lucid fucking Air. It would be nice to have something to challenge fucking Tesla. It would be great. Midjourney, I don't really give a fuck. Fuck that. That's bullshit. That needs to be burned down and fucking shut down. But the rest of it, I'm not saying it shouldn't exist. It's simply that if it has this, space, then there needs to be regulation, especially since these motherfuckers can get money any day of the week. I'm talking millions upon fucking billions of dollars any day of the week. These motherfuckers have quarterly funding, averages of, $200 million. That's for a quarter. Not the entire year, but a quarter. Some of these companies, like Uber Eats and, Lucid Air, I'm pretty sure they can raise $1 billion in capital in 1 year, if not more. If they claim they got something new coming out of their app. But the people that they force to, drudge out until they make, large market share profits and then become this monopoly bullshit are the people they contract or the people they're selling cars to, in Lucid Air's case, that like pay either in the case of Lucid Air, you're paying a fucking ridiculous amount for a vehicle that doesn't cost actually that much. Same way Nvidia did its shit, and it's not even a monopoly yet. And then for like Uber Eats, your fucking Uber Eats driver has to do like 30 fucking deliveries in a day to make like $200. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. And the best way to counter that shit is put regulation on this shit. Fine, you want to get investor funding and all that shit, but 20% of that funding needs to always go to ensuring a pay grade, a certain pay level. Or like the Lucid thing, you put price caps on what you could sell fucking cars and this and that for, and people say that's gonna stuff the market, that's gonna snuff out the growth. Motherfucker, no it will not. Regulation makes shit better because it ensures that everyone in some way, shape, or form can benefit rather than just the assholes who are CEOs and the assholes who own a shit ton of shares.
Now, this all sounds pretty dystopian, but in some rare circumstances, it can actually be good for you as a regular person. For a while, you could enjoy incredibly cheap food delivery, which was partially paid for by some Silicon Valley venture capitalist. And the user experience of streaming movies was better when Netflix controlled the entire streaming market.
Fuck, you might have got me there on that one. I don't got a counter to that. I don't got a counter to that. I don't even think it was better. I just think it was... Fuck, I don't know about this one. It's not that it was better, it was just... Fuck.
So it's time to learn how money works to find out why the good types of monopolies don't last and why we are suddenly getting so many of the bad kind instead. Across the world, there are thousands of businesses being started with the sole intention of just being acquired by a larger, more established company, or more recently, a private equity firm. Tax structures have incentivized investors and entrepreneurs to seek an exit over building a sustainable business that provides them with non-capital gains income over the long term. According to the corporate law firm White & Case, global mergers and acquisitions volume has tripled over the last 2 decades alone. One of the best ways to build a monopoly is to just buy out every other competitor.
Which is like insane because the whole point of the antitrust, the Sherman Act, the whole point of it is basically, the idea is this: if businesses constantly have to compete, businesses constantly have to look to the customer, ask the customer what they want, figure out what the customer likes, and constantly innovate. This is literally how progress fucking works, okay? And this is why every single fucking cereal tastes the same. This is why all the sodas are basically just different sugar versions of each other. This is why fucking Starbucks can charge all that it fucking can, and like people will still go, even though yes, people are like, oh, there's fucking Dunkin' Donuts. And it's like, yeah, there is Dunkin' Donuts, but a lot of people put this perceived ideal on if you drink from Dunkin' fucking Donuts, you're broke or what the fuck ever. I don't know, some stupid shit. But it's literally just Starbucks and fucking Dunkin' Donuts. This is why you get shit where all clothes looks the fucking same. All shoes look the fucking same as the last fucking shoe that came out 10 years ago. Or you get relaunches and recolors and this and that. It's just stupid shit. That's just more means for you to fucking spend a shit ton of more money. And fine, if you want to fucking rehash old shit, fine. But then there should be some regulation in the fucking price. And it's like, oh yeah, communism tried that and it failed. Yeah, communism tried it when the West had already fucking strangleholded its economy. Of course it didn't work at that fucking point, it was too goddamn late.
Which is exactly what has been happening. Just this week, the global food giant Mars agreed to purchase Kellanova, the makers of Pringles and other snack foods, for $36 billion. This is one of the largest corporate acquisitions ever in an industry that is already dominated by a small handful of companies.
What the fuck? See what I mean? You see what I mean? Nothing is actually fucking different. It's all the same shit. It's probably half of the shit you eat and consume is literally made in the same fucking factory. It's just at the end of the line when it goes into a package, there's different stations for different packaging. That's it. What the fuck, dude? And all of these companies are fucking grimy ass motherfuckers. Mars is fucking just, I knew Mars was fucking ridiculous. Why the fuck do they own Uncle Ben's? Like, this shit is disgusting, bro. There's a certain point when too much is too fucking much.
With food prices as high as they are, more corporate consolidation isn't going to help. But it's only getting more popular because of the second reason, which is that it's just becoming so easy.
Because of the thing I said at the beginning. It's literally a fucking circle. There's no regulation because the same people who are supposed to regulate or introduce regulation are influenced and fucking paid by these companies. And it's like, yeah, like he just said, they can literally set the price of anything. And it's like, oh, you're like, oh, you know what? Instead of fucking buying Lucky Charms, I'm going to buy, I don't know, fucking Frosty Flakes. It's owned by the same motherfucker. You can't choose with your wallet anymore. It's taking another fucking ability or voice of the people with these fucking monopolies. And so everything's the same. Everything's fucking expensive. It's bullshit. It's utter bullshit.
Big companies have a lot of cash, and they've been able to borrow even more at very low interest rates for a very long time. Even now, after recent rate hikes, interest on institutional borrowing is much cheaper than it was for most of American corporate history. This has made it really easy for companies to buy every company in their field, and it's made it possible to build businesses where the only way that the founders will ever make any money is by selling it to someone else.
It's also a way for a founder to sell their company to an asshole who's going to turn it into a Nazi hellscape with a porn name. Notice I didn't put the X on the top of mine with my socials, because fuck that. It's so stupid. It's so awful now. It's literally just like a ton of Nazis. Especially if your algorithm has any political like leaning and ideation on it. Oh, you're going to fucking see some demons. And you're going to see some fucking off the cuff comment motherfuckers. It's so dog shit.
You are watching this video right now on YouTube, which was acquired by Google before it made any money. And today, it's the company's largest revenue center outside of search advertising. The growth of private equity has helped this as well by providing another exit opportunity to company owners. Private equity acquisitions are normally smaller in scale, but that doesn't mean that they can't create monopolies. A common business strategy employed by private equity is to roll up businesses. If you ever find yourself as a private equity manager, here is how you would do that. You would buy up lots of local businesses from their owners. Depending on the size of your fund, these will most likely be small and unglamorous businesses like plumbing companies, HVAC shops, or local mechanics. These businesses are actually great acquisition targets because they make a nice stable profit and the owners don't have as many options to sell as a bigger, better known company. Which means if they want to retire or step away from their business, you are one of the only people they can get money from.
And then you're going to suddenly see the prices rise for those businesses. And not only that, those businesses, in a lot of cases, often rebrand. They'll be purchased. The company claims they're going to stay kind of that family-owned atmosphere. They might keep even a family member or two on for the fucking looks, right? To make you feel like it's still the same hardware company or shop you went to, or it's still the same ice cream shop you went to, or it's still the same place you get, I don't know, fucking burgers from. And you're like, oh, this is local to my area. There's only like 10 of these restaurants in my city. And then suddenly that restaurant or that ice cream place or that coffee shop or what the fuck ever, like 4 or 5 years later, suddenly turns into a branded chain. And the prices fucking go up. It's just bullshit, dude. It's bullshit to make every dollar in your fucking wallet or in your bank account not yours.
Your next step is to centralize operations like booking, accounting, marketing, and customer support into one office. This cuts down on costs, but it also means that your businesses aren't going to be competing with one another.
And it makes it so that your employees, right? When you get these large acquisitions, the employee is no longer dealing with that close, easy to interact with HR department or management. No, management is, like, say it's a company that's mostly based in North Carolina. Say you got a trucking company, mostly based in North Carolina. Mom and pop trucking company. They got, I don't know, a fleet of 40 trucks. And they're making decent money, but they know that in order for them to retire, they're going to have to hand it down to their son. Okay, because it makes money. It keeps the family nice. It keeps the family comfortable. But it's not like a fucking banger fucking business, right? Okay? Then they sell themselves to a larger trucking company. The larger trucking company is going to tell those truck drivers, no, nothing's gonna change. Your healthcare plan's gonna stay the same. Da 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 da. Your PTO and this and that and allowances, your work flexibility, your control over your routes, because it is your job and you do it and you do it best. You would know the best things to do. That will only last like a year. In some cases, especially in today's world, hell, it might just last 6 months. Soon as they get the old family out and the deal's so set in stone that legally it can't just be unwound, they immediately come in and make changes. And immediately come in and make changes. The HR department, all of them are gone. Now your HR department, like I said, say this trucking company is based in fucking North Carolina. Your HR department is no longer in North Carolina. Your HR department is where the main trucking company is based. I don't know, fucking Montana, okay? It's like your management is like some supervisor that they sent over, pay for that motherfucker to move out there to manage you guys out of the main warehouse or whatever in North Carolina from New York or fucking Harvard. And it's likely some fucker who has never driven a truck before. So you got some asshole who's never done the job or has barely done the job and was like shit at the job, but he was really good at sucking someone's dick to move up in the ladder, okay? Telling you what the fuck to do. Your fucking, your benefits and all that shit are gonna change. Likely to something cheaper, so shittier. And you no longer get to decide how your job is done, even though you're the most experienced and know how the fuck it will be done best. Because the company has a policy. The company's policy is this should be done, that should be done. Doesn't matter if it risks your fucking life. Doesn't matter if it makes your job harder. The company said so. And you've got no fucking choice because you live in America. And your entire existence is tied to whether you have a job or not.
No private equity fund is going to be able to buy all of the mechanic shops in America. But you don't need to. If you own all the shops in a local area, you still have a monopoly. It's just a local monopoly, and unless people want to drive 2 hours to get their car fixed, they are going to have to pay what you ask. This is actually even better than the big global monopolies, because you are way less likely to get in trouble with the FTC because you are too small to show up on their radar. Not that it really matters, because of the third reason why everything is a monopoly these days. So this probably won't come as a shock to you, but regulators like the FTC and their equivalents in other countries haven't been doing the best job of fighting back against monopolies.
Cause they work for the monopolies. Okay, I'm not gonna sing over again. Of the fucking thousands upon millions of dollars sitting in these motherfuckers' bank accounts, I guarantee you 70% of that shit comes from these companies. It's just, there's like no real enforcement of this level of corruption whatsoever because the enforcers are literally asshats who are the ones that would go to jail.
These organizations have two strategies that they are supposed to use. The first is by blocking mergers or acquisitions that it deems as creating a monopoly. Remember, a monopoly can only exist if market power is achieved through a better product. So, merging two or more companies together that would have too much market power is technically against the rules. The second strategy is by breaking up companies that get too big into smaller competing companies like what happened with AT&T and Standard Oil. The problem is that it hasn't really been doing either. In fact, the big famous corporate breakups of the 20th century have regressed and they are slowly merging back.
Hey, look at that. Look at that shit. AT&T basically is halfway back to what the fuck it once was. It's halfway back. It's already fucking a monopoly again. Like, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous. It's such bullshit.
Together again. Monopolies are the natural state of businesses, and unless the authorities do something to address it, even companies that were famously broken up will eventually return back to the monopolistic equilibrium. According to public data compiled by the Washington Center for Equitable Growth, funding for the FTC and the Department of Justice's Antitrust Division has been cut progressively since 2008.
I wonder what happened in 2008. Could it be that Obama gave millions and billions of fucking taxpayer money to these assholes and told them, get your shit together in order? And then as soon as they did, we were like, all right, here's the keys. You can take the car and drive now. That's literally what happened. There was no lesson learned from 2008. No one went to jail except one asshat, okay? And that asshat was the guy who I think rung the fucking alarm. Everyone else got big-ass golden parachutes. Meanwhile, their fucking employees, their fucking lesser workers, and people who own homes and were tricked into owning homes when they weren't financially ready and the whole fucking 9 yards, all of them motherfuckers just ended up homeless, out on the streets, on their ass, no fucking money, no job. And like now, just like any, like every fucking government organization meant to help or regulate, they're all underfunded. And the same motherfuckers who are supposed to ensure they get funding are the same motherfuckers whose job or whose goal is to get out of government and work for the motherfuckers they're supposed to regulate. So they're not going to fuck those guys over because they're like, I need a job afterwards.
Even though deal volume and complexity has massively increased since then, which means they are trying to do more with less. The FTC also has to take companies to court before they can block mergers or break companies up, which means they can only pursue so many cases at a given time.
And the judges are in on it too. So even in the court, you're being fought by, even if it's like a righteous FTC prosecutor, right, who's trying to do the right thing, trying to do his job, that judge will fucking literally stretch, bend, fold, and fuck the law sideways to ensure that this motherfucker has to basically sacrifice himself to stop the merger of something that is obviously a fucking monopoly. It's already a monopoly, trying to become an even bigger monopoly.
There is also the not-so-secret revolving door between people that are supposed to be regulating these companies and high-paying jobs working for the companies themselves.
Technically, pre-watch, but I already knew that shit, and it's like the biggest problem with it. It's the center of the fucking thing. Best way to regulate this? If you work in government, I feel like if, especially if you're in a political office, right? Like if you're a senator, House representative, you're head of the FTC, you're the deputy head of the FTC, you're any type of executive position at the FTC, you're any type of department manager position at the FTC and shit and stuff like that, or the secretary or the Treasury Department and this whole 9 yards, I think you should be fucking banned. You should be fucking banned for 10 years from inhabiting any similar position in a civilian market. I feel like you should not be fucking allowed. And if you were in the civilian market as like a CEO or some shit, with only extreme exceptions, you should be banned from being able to be appointed to a government position. I mean extreme exceptions in the sense of, like, obviously to head your Treasury Department, you're going to want someone who's worked in finance. Okay? But they need to be fucking grilled. Their positions need to be grilled. Their understanding of the economy needs to be fucking grilled. And if you sense for a moment that they are one of those laissez-faire capitalist cunts, you kick them to the fucking curb. Just simple as that. It's as simple as that. And there are people out there who are financiers and see the world as it should be, who don't see it through this capitalist bullshit lens. That would be perfect for these positions, but they'll never get it because they're not a part of the fucking loop.
Joseph Simons was the former chairman of the Federal Trade Commission. After he left office, he became partner at the law firm Paul Weiss.
See what the fuck I'm saying?
A law firm that specializes in corporate mergers and acquisitions. The chairwoman before him is now partner at Wilson Sonsini, one of the largest corporate law firms in the world. And you'll never guess it, but the chairwoman before her also became partner at a law firm specializing in mergers and acquisitions.
All of them. Bro, it's so fucking obvious, bro. It's oh my god.
If you ever get appointed to the chair of the FTC, there is a genuine incentive to do a good job, but not too much of a good job that you can't get a high-paying job in the private sector as soon as your appointment is finished. The current chair, Lina Khan, is among the most aggressive FTC leaders to hold the position in recent decades, and she has pushed through some genuine wins like this recent Google ruling and the banning of non-compete agreements. This has also made her extremely unpopular with business figures lobbying openly for her removal.
Okay, keep her. Keep her. If they are spending this amount of money and they're willing to back Harris in order for her to fucking be fired, keep her. You don't have to actually fulfill that fucking promise. You don't have to. Hell, it would be illegal if you did anyways, Harris. Keep Lina Khan. Keep her. Okay? If there's one thing that you should always keep, It's the thing that scares raggedy old white dudes with a shit ton of money, okay? Keep those people. If those same dudes, those same old raggedy rich white dudes like someone, that person likely should be in jail. Plain and simple. Keep Lena fucking Khan.
So unfortunately, there probably isn't any partner position waiting for her at a prestigious law firm once her appointment is finished. Now, buried in here is the most damaging thing that monopolies do. They are bad for consumers, but they are much worse for workers. If you work in an industry controlled by a monopoly, you literally have nowhere else to go, which means they can get away with paying you just enough to keep you from retraining somewhere else. Getting rid of non-competes makes this a lot harder for companies to do, so you should go and watch that video next. I will also be writing an article on this week's mega merger from my perspective as a former investment banker, who used to work on deals just like this. You can read that and other articles like it on my totally free email newsletter linked in the video description, so sign up to keep on learning how money works.
So that was a video by How Many Works on, Monopolies. And one, definitely give him a follow and subscribe. I do. I've probably been subscribed to him for like 2-3 years now. But it's fucking disgusting, man. It's really disgusting. Monopolies are just bullshit. It's just, there's only a small group, a very small group, who fucking actually benefit from monopolies. And I guarantee you, unless you're rolling around with somebody that has like 3 fucking homes and like 9-10 cars, you're not benefiting from that monopoly existing. Your life would be a million times better if the Sherman Antitrust Act had a whole lot more force behind it. If there was regulation on pricing, if you couldn't do bullshit to your employees, you'd be so much better. If a politician in your state election, or for your state's national position, or for president, is someone that old, rich, white dudes, or ladies, do not like, vote for that motherfucker. Okay? As long as they don't have some secret fucking ledger that says they've been to Jeffrey Epstein's island like 30 times, vote for that motherfucker, okay? As long as they're not a neo-Nazi or says some shit that sounds like they're trying to be racist, vote for that motherfucker, okay? Simple as that. But the thing that you can do right now to kick a monopoly in the nuts is subscribe, because the algorithm sometimes says fuck me. And liking and subscribing is a way to tell Google to go fuck itself. See you on the next video. Bye!
So this step kind of blows my mind. Our friend here is testing each one of them. I'm not sure if it's for taste or volume or I'm not sure precisely what. I'm also curious if he is inhaling or if it's like a cigar, just quick taste test and exhale.
这些都没问题吗？你一天大概能测多少个？
一天大概要测平均7-8千吧。
7-8千，多的时候呢？
多的时候就1万多。
你自己平时抽吗？那你下班之后还抽吗？
下班之后。
What the fuck? I'm sorry, what? Bro, what? Bro's definitely not making it to the new year. That's fucking wild. Yo, Instagram comments are fucking on fire. That's hilarious. What? Bro, that can't be legal. I mean, I don't know where he is, what country he's in. I don't think it's America, which technically this is probably legal in America in certain states, you know.